Tester that I could say too. And if I said them, he'd never be elected again.
Right. So will he say them? What are they? Let's bring in Dan Bongino, former NYPD officer, former Secret Service agent, and host of the Dan Bongino very successful podcast. So what do you think when you heard that line? Number one, I know you know the Dr. Jackson. Number one, you know that not only is he not going to be the next VA secretary, he's not going to get a hearing, and he's no longer going to be at the White House. So knowing that, and that Tester just came out with his innuendos and allegations, what do you think the next step is?
Well, I'll tell you what it should be. Tester should resign, Brian, yesterday, ASAP, as soon as possible. The man's disgraced himself. He's disgraced the United States Senate. And most importantly, most critically, he's disgraced an American patriot, a good man, a friend. But I say this not out of a sense of friendship, Brian. I mean this. I want to be clear. Nobody has asked me to say anything about Ronnie Jackson. Not Ronnie, not a friend of Ronnie's, not his family, nobody in the White House. This was a man I knew personally. This was a guy who saved my butt when I was sick overseas many times when I was in the Secret Service. And let me just say, all of these allegations, I have never, Brian, I was the law enforcement guy on the ground. When there was some kind of problem on a visit with the doctor, someone in the military, or anyone else, me as a Secret Service lead advance, I would have been notified. I never saw any of this. This is a joke, and this was a political hit job of the highest order.
Well, there were those 2 pages of essentially Oppo research that Tester apparently was relying upon. And a lot of the stuff was easy to confirm whether or not it was true. In fact, just over the weekend, I think the White House and the Secret Service came out and said, yeah, you know what, he never did actually crash that car. There's no evidence of that. But, you know, the insinuation that he was giving out pills, like, and they called him the candy man. When you are on an overseas trip and you're 10 time zones off, I'm sure everybody in your detail probably asked for a sleep aid.
You know, Steve, let me walk the snowflake crowd through how this works, okay? This is the real world, you chumps. This is not a college campus, okay? You don't get to go to a cry room and cry it out because a professor yelled at you or a conservative speaker's on campus. In the real world, in the Secret Service and the military, when you go to a foreign hot zone to keep the president and his family alive and you can't sleep, you can't protect this guy, you know what happens? People could die or get hurt. So the fact that you may have to take a sleep aid to get a few hours of sleep to get your butt up and keep the president of the United States alive. Listen up, snowflakes. That's how the real world works. That offended your delicate sensibilities is pretty freaking disgusting. Pardon my language. Dan, I'm so sick of this case. I've never seen a better man taken down by a more disgusting group of people in my life.
That's what I think the American public is upset about, because I don't know him personally. We don't know him personally. You do, and everyone who knows him personally has nothing but wonderful things to say about him. But the good people aren't going to want to run for office anymore, because this is what happens to your reputation. You give out a few pills, and then next thing you know, you have the Candyman logo, and then they start looking at your background, your driving record.
Ainsley, and he had no chance to correct it. The lie traveled around the world before Ronnie got to even open his mouth. And I encourage everybody to read the piece in the Daily Caller by the former special agent in charge of the president's detail, Mike White, a guy I worked for, another American patriot, an honorable guy. Read what he wrote about Ronnie Jackson. He had no reason to put his name out there. He's not that kind of guy, Mike. And he did it because that's the kind of guy Ronnie was.
Well, he's not only he's not going to get the job, he's not going to even be at the White House. Among the people that have a hard time with John Tester, especially if you read between the lines, is fellow Democrat Adam Schiff. Listen to this.
I'm always troubled when accusations are anonymous. I don't think you can rely on that kind of anonymous claim.
Did Tester go over the line on this one?
I imagine that folks have been talking to Senator Tester who are going to become public and not anonymous. And the administration realized that, and that's why they withdrew the nomination. But yes, if it were on nothing more than the anonymous claims, that's a slender reed.
Whatever happened to innocent until proven guilty?
You're expecting that from Adam Schiff? I mean, Captain Conspiracy Theory? I mean, asking him about lies on Capitol Hill. I mean, that's like asking a bank robber after he's done robbing a bank for a comment about the bank robbery. Adam Schiff is knee-deep in Capitol Hill dishonesty. Right. He almost single-handedly is responsible for fabricating the collusion X-Files conspiracy theory fairy tale. He's not going to talk about dishonesty.
But he did. When he comes out and is critical of Tester for bringing up innuendo. I think it's is significant.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think he should have been a little bit more forceful. He's doing the dance up there, and I don't appreciate it. They should just come out and say, listen, this was flat out wrong. Tester should at a minimum issue an apology. I think he should have resigned over the weekend.
And he can't attack back, because if he goes after the president hard, he loses any would-be moderate or Republican vote in a very Republican state. And I think the GOP is now targeting him to switch that seat.
Hey, Dan, real quickly, what's happening with your Facebook page?
Yeah, I wasn't going to bring this up on my Facebook because I didn't want to be like a hey, look at me type of thing. But yeah, they're spamming my content, which is incredible. I don't even put that much. It means if you share my podcast on Facebook, I got hundreds of emails from people who said that this post has been marked as spam. Listen, you may not like my content, but it's certainly not spam. We put out one show a day. And this is just, again, it's indicative of this social media war against conservatives. I've been hit on Twitter where they discontinued my ads. It's just, it's relentless. I'm thinking about quitting Facebook. This is a battle I'm going through.
Well, that's what they want you to do.
I'm tired of it.
That's what they want you to do.
Yeah, but you know what? Brian, I'm tired. You know what? They may, but Facebook makes money off people like you and me putting content on it. And the minute people like you and me say, no, not today, then maybe they'll wake up and smell the coffee.
I tell you what, Dan, we will put on our Facebook page your direct appeal to Mark Zuckerberg. What would you like to tell him about what they're doing to you?
Mark, 40% of America doesn't believe what you believe necessarily, and it's not the best business plan in the world, to tell them to go pound sand. That's probably not going to work out in the long term.
So have them checked into Dan Bongino apparently being classified as spam, because he ain't.
Reach out to him. Let us know what they say if they respond. Thanks, Dan. Have a great day.
Will do. You got
All right,
it.
turning now to some more headlines this morning. The hunt is now on for a man that police say tried to kidnap 2 women in broad daylight. This surveillance video showing the Toyota believed to be involved in both incidents down in Houston. A woman opening the door to escape after a man threw her into the car. Another woman says a man tried to get her inside the Toyota, but she fought back and got away. Neither were seriously injured. The New York Times, terrified of retirement rumors swirling about U.S. Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy. The newspaper's editorial board writing, quote, every 81-year-old, especially those who have devoted their lives to the service of their country, should have the freedom to retire without worrying that the nation's future may hang in the balance. President Trump would likely fill the seat with a conservative. Kennedy has long played the role of a swing vote on the court. Roseanne Barr opening up on her phone call from President Trump at this year's Jerusalem Post conference. The actress revealing she personally thanked him for moving the U.S. Embassy in Israel.
I said, Mr. President, on behalf of my mother, I want to thank you. He said, well, a lot of presidents have promised it, but, I wanted to get it done. I think it's the first step to peace in the world. I really do.